Sea slug Pikachu. Although officially called Thecocera pacifica, this marine life has now become more commonly known as the sea slug Pikachu. Scientists have known about the existence of Thecocera pacifica for a long time, but this slug gained popularity only after one Japanese teacher showed it on TV. Pokémon fans immediately began to compare the real creature with fictional characters on social networks. The cause of such conditions is a genetic disease myotonia, which is characterized by a sharp muscle contraction during fright. If the goat is surprised or frightened by something, it develops muscle paralysis. The animal loses its ability to move, but at the same time, does not feel any pain and is fully conscious, experiencing only bewilderment. The Dead Sea is actually quite alive. The Dead Sea is one of the saltiest bodies of water on Earth. Salinity reaches 33.7% and contains 11.6 tons of salt. There are no large animals, arthropods and fish, and algae do not grow here. But there is still life in the Dead Sea. Some types of fungi and bacteria live in it, more than 20 strains of unicellular organisms. They live off the energy of sunlight. Death Trail. The most dangerous hiking trail in the world is laid on Huishan Mountain in China. It is made of narrow boards that are laid over an abyss without railings or handrails. The boards are nailed directly to the sheer cliff and held together with ordinary nails. At the level of the belt, a steel chain is screwed to the rock, which the tourists hold onto, moving along the narrow planks. The human brain. The human brain generates enough electricity to power a 10-watt light bulb. Alston's singing mice. Only males sing, creating hundreds of vocal phrases, the combination of which allows these gentlemen to attract females, warn rivals, protect their territory, and so on. Surprisingly, males in the mating season, or in case of some disagreement, because of the same territory, sing alternately, without interrupting each other, like the most educated gentlemen. The process of creating hornet nests is a little similar to the process of making paper, so such nests are sometimes called paper nests. The fact is that softwood fibers, tree bark are used as materials for construction, which hornets carefully chew and glue with their sticky saliva. They apply this viscous mass in a thin layer to the nest, and after hardening it turns into a kind of paper. You can even write on it with a pencil, although, of course, the quality of such paper will be significantly inferior to ordinary paper. If the Andromeda Galaxy were brighter, then in the starry sky it would be 6 times larger than the moon, and this is how our night sky would look. If you combine all the metro lines laid on our planet into one, you get a gap equal to the distance from the equator to the North Pole. King Henry VIII of England, nicknamed the Copper Nose. The king, instead of making silver shillings, began to mint them from copper, then covering them with silver. Silver quickly wore off, especially on the most protruding parts, which included the king's nose. Because of this, the king received the nickname Old Copper Nose. In France, it is forbidden to kiss on railway platforms. In 1910, France passed a law that prohibited kissing on railway platforms in order to avoid delays and congestion of the entrance to the car. Ironically, the law is still in force. Porcupine. Porcupine has soft hair, but on the back, sides and tail, it is usually mixed with sharp needles. These needles, as a rule, lie as long as nothing threatens the animal and then bristle, crackle, knocking against each other, frightening the attacking predators. Chomping and talking loudly over food in Japan is the order of the day. It is believed here that if you eat silently and quietly, then you do not like the food. The traditional Vietnamese pointed hat was born as protection from coconuts falling from trees. Falling on such a hat, the coconut, of course, will hit the person, but not fatally, after which it will bounce aside. Without a hat, the fall of a coconut on the head is most often fatal. Elvis Presley. In fact, Elvis is not dark-haired, nature has awarded him with light blonde hair. He dyed his hair dark because his blue eyes, combined with the Ricinus hair color, looked more impressive on color screens. Soap opera. In the 1930s, multi-part programs with unpretentious tearful stories appeared on American radio. They were sponsored by manufacturers of soap and other detergents, as the main audience for these programs was housewives. Therefore, the expression soap opera was stuck for radio and later television series. Eiffel Tower. French writer Guy de Maupassant was one of those who were irritated by the Eiffel Tower. Nevertheless, he dined daily at a restaurant, explaining that this is the only place in Paris from where the tower is not visible. The windows are designed in such a way that they are able to withstand the pressure between the passenger compartment and the external atmosphere, comparable to a load of up to 4 tons. The inner glass of the porthole, which is visible to passengers inside the cabin, is decorative. Its damage will not affect the safety of being on the plane.